Welcome to the Porn Reboot Podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the word slip, just the word and the concept. And we're going to find out if this is actually detrimental to your behavior with pornography, detrimental to your freeing yourself from your behavior. A few weeks ago, I got a comment on one of my YouTube videos, and this was from somebody who claims to be a coach. They have their own channel, and they claim to help men end their behavior with pornography. On top of that, they also claim that they have worked with some of Porn Reboot's former clients. I'll be digging more into that, but I wanted to address the comment that they left because their belief is that the idea of slips is actually what keeps men going back to their out-of-control behavior. I'll read it. They said, JK, I've heard from a number of my clients that your heart is in the right place and that you want to help people. I even spoke to another client this week who I hadn't realized had taken your program before, and he said your program gave him the hope he needed at the time, and he seemed very grateful to you. However, if you want to help people stop engaging in compulsive behaviors, continuing to use language like slip is going to keep your audience and clients trapped in a cycle of relapse and streaks. This is a way of thinking that trains people to believe they engage in behaviors automatically and they don't have control over themselves. It is very detrimental to people. It doesn't matter what type of porn a person is engaging in. If they want to stop, that should be the focus. I genuinely believe that you want to help people, and I have been told this by many clients who have taken your program in the past. But please reconsider the language you use around slips for a start, and reconsider your take on how these are part of recovery by thinking about how it is acting on compulsive desires which keep people's neural pathways wired in the same way. Okay? So I'll respond to this because they're more or less saying that the word slip is something that gives people an excuse to go back to their behavior. Okay. My response, and I'll just share what it was literally. I'm like, thanks for taking the time to respond, but nah. I've heard some version of this and other similar redundant arguments over the years. I truly have. Thousands of men have been freed from this behavior using our system. But you know what has not been an issue? Defining a slip has never been a major issue. The truth is, slips in reality are actually not that important. And when you think about it, neither are relapses. The only thing that is important is the data which we get from them, which in turn only matters when that data leads to a man permanently ending his behavior. So, when it comes to all these different systems of ending compulsive behaviors, there are people who believe that using the word addiction is a bad thing. There are people who believe that using the word relapse is a bad thing. There are people who believe that using slips is a bad thing. There are people who believe that abstinence is bad and people who believe in moderation. I'll keep it simple. Most addiction recovery methodologies can be broken down into two very simple schools of thought. One which defines recovery as abstinence or some form of abstinence, and the other which defines recovery as some form of healing from the behavior. Again, one uses an abstinence approach and one uses a healing approach. We are not so special that we don't fall into any of those categories. We are a little bit of both, but for the most part, we fall into the healing category. And the healing category is simply because we just don't believe in using willpower. We believe that pornography is a symptom of some other issue. It is very much a compulsive symptom, but we also believe that as you fix the other parts of your life that you have lost to this out of control behavior as a man, you are also going to simultaneously begin to work on whatever that issue is. whether it is a faulty core belief, whether it is related to stress, whether it is related to relationships, whether it is just a habitual pattern that you developed over the years. I'll address the comment right now. When people drop comments like this saying, a porn reboot, you are damaging people, you are detrimental to people's recovery, we need to save the brothers from you. It's like a white knight syndrome. Somebody showing up and they're criticizing you, saying, what you're doing is harming people. Like, your heart's in the right place, but you're destroying people's lives. There are probably hundreds of millions of men who are dealing with an out-of-control behavior. What good does it do anybody to fight against others? I'm not a big fan of 12-step programs. I'm not a big fan of many forms of therapy. That is not a secret. But I'm not going to go out of my way to start screaming that 12 steps is destroying your life. Therapy is destroying your life. Absolutely not. I fully understand that that is what people have access to. I'm very grateful to even the NoFap movement. The NoFap movement is something that has allowed many men to become aware of their out-of-control behavior. So everything has its place. And whatever healing is available to another person, we can be critical of it, but we certainly cannot go out of our way to say that this is the very thing that is making a person's compulsive behavior even worse. On another note, this individual, as you heard in his message, was talking about or alluding to all the different former clients of ours that are working with them. When somebody develops a savior complex because they run across a subsection of our audience or former clients who are responding to abstinence as opposed to healing, and they are trying to oh, we're going to save you from porn reboot because we ran into 5 guys who were in JK's program, all that simply means is one of 3 things. It means number 1, the healing process did not work for them, and they were strongly conditioned to abstinence. So when they hear an abstinence message and they're searching for more information, they're like, I don't know, I prefer abstinence. You guys who are in the program have seen it. You've been in the program or you've had accountability partners who, no matter what you did and how much you encouraged them to use the program, you notice that they would still use willpower no matter what. You're like, why is this guy in the same program as me? Why is he still counting days? Why is he still using the term streaks? We can't force or control anybody to change. All we can do is influence. And sometimes some men cannot be influenced, so they will move to another program where they're more comfortable with what the teachings are. And I'm fine with that. The second reason is that there are some people who were never supposed to be in this program in the first place. Their ego, after listening to me talking about the type of clients we work with, they showed up and they just bullshitted their way in. They said that they were high performers. They said, this is the type of program for me. I work hard. I'm ambitious. And, 3 weeks into the program, suddenly none of those high performing traits are to be seen anywhere. And a lot of them drop out of the program. When I say a lot, I mean a lot over a 13-year period. In a year, not that many. And so, again, they can end up in other programs. And finally is the rarest of all. And these are men who've been in our program, built a strong relationship with us and our coaches, and they actually reached the late stage of their reboot, or they were in the later stage of the maintenance stage of their reboot, and they decided that, hey, I want to step away from the program and kind of experience life as a man who is well on his way to rebooting. Why? I don't use porn. I don't experience any urges. I don't even masturbate. My life is improving in many areas. We often have conversations with these men on something called their legacy call, where we let them know honestly, if you are not in the maintenance stage of your reboot, we will let you know what the risks are. We will also let you know that you can reach the maintenance stage on your own. It is just that without the guardrails, the boundaries, the accountability, the regular calls and the meetings, which we do not want you to become reliant on. They're just there to get you to the maintenance stage. Without those at the middle stage of your reboot or at the late stage of your reboot, there's always a chance for a slip. But oftentimes, when a man has been living with this behavior for so many years, sometimes decades, going for 4 or 5 months without this behavior, even in a program like ours, even though the program is what got you there, it's a very thrilling experience. you feel that you're just spending money to be in this program. You're like, guys, thanks. I've gotten what I wanted from you guys. There's that thought of like, why do you still want me to be here when I feel like I've gotten everything that I came here for? That is the challenge of getting a man to the maintenance stage. You don't see the need for that. But the truth is that we've seen the movie before, and we know that there's yet another stage. And if you have not defined your reboot yet, then you are at risk. So sometimes these men end up relapsing due to some situation that they have not yet addressed while they were in the program or experienced. Shame is a powerful thing. Sometimes there's shame and there's guilt that comes up because you were told, JK sat down and said, brah, there's a chance you might relapse. And you were just like, JK, it's been 5 months, dude. And I've been in some very tempting situations. I just don't see that happening. I think I'm good. I'm absolutely certain. And I always leave, I'm like, well, you know what? The door's open. You're a VIP client. You're a former client. Feel free to just DM me if something happens. We'll have a conversation. And it doesn't mean that you have to rejoin the program. Sometimes one conversation is enough to set you straight. That's easier for me to say than it is for brothers to accept that. More often than not, men are upset that all the work they put in, that's what they feel, has been thrown away. But brother, if you're in that situation, that's not what has happened. Just because you used pornography again does not even mean that it's a relapse in some cases. It may not even be defined as a slip. But your ego, this is very common in men, is like, nah, man, there's no way I invested that much time and energy and money and I showed up for all those meetings. I can do this on my own. And that's your big mistake. Before you know it, you are actually in a relapse. And you cannot show up and face JK. You cannot show up and face Chris, Dr. Jessica Eastman, Dr. Rankin, Milan, Oresta. You can't show up and face these brothers and say, hey, I slipped. Because you feel we're going to say, I told you so. The interesting thing is we're going to act as if nothing happened. It's not a big deal to us. We've been doing this for over a decade. So instead, you join another program. It's unfortunate, but I just want to be real with everybody. That's what happens. Just come back to us, guys, and just have the conversation. So again, these individuals, these other coaches who bring this stuff up, this is not the first time. We've had a lot of people just thrilled to therapists who reach up and be like, oh my God, one of your former clients came here. What's going on, bro? Like, okay, it's not a big deal. Nothing is going to change the fact that the porn reboot system works for the vast majority of men. It's too late for that fact to be changed. We've proved it with thousands of men. At the end of the day, brothers, when it comes to slips, human beings are complex creatures. Slips are simply a temporary return to a behavior that you are trying to end. It's nothing complex. There's no shame in that. There's no guilt. It is temporary, and there is a lesson to learn. Now, when I say temporary, I mean that in the grand scheme of things, a day will come when there will be nothing like a quote-unquote slip to exist in your life in the context of your behavior with masturbation and pornography ever again. It is not worth putting so much energy into it and claiming that it is the reason why an individual keeps returning to streaks or keeps returning to their behavior. It's very amateurish thinking. Brothers, if you slip, it's not a big deal. Collect the data, use the data, and you will not return to that behavior. I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot Group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, You want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving? Then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.